Which royal child was the first to be born in a hospital and not in a palace? Today we will try not only to tell you the 7 most unusual, and even mystical facts related to the birth of Elizabeth's children and grandchildren, but also to trace how the place and environment during the royal birth influenced the life of future monarchs.
He walks like George.
He does.
Or George walks like him.
There's a purpose to the walk.
Yeah.
We'll probably chase each other around that garden a few times as well.
Yeah, but not for a while.
What did Elizabeth II borrow from her legendary great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria? And who became the most famous of the royal newborns? It is a well-known fact that Elizabeth II and Prince Philip are parents of many children, but not everyone knows what more than bizarre traditions surrounded royal childbirth. Do the place and circumstances under which he was born to affect the fate of the monarch? We will tell you about it at the end of our video, so stay tuned.
This is such a lovely photo because it's at one of the most special places for all of us. Balmoral is such a wonderful, happy place to be, and they are so happy they're together.
In the meantime, our fact number 1. The royal heirs were born in the palace. All the Queen's sons, Prince Charles, now King Charles III of Great Britain, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, were delivered at Buckingham Palace. This residence has been the official London home for the British monarchs since the beginning of the 18th century, in which one of the rooms has more than once turned into a small maternity hospital. The Queen's only daughter, Princess Anne, was born in Clarence House, where Elizabeth and Philip lived at that time. However, the 2-month-old baby was baptized in the music room of the Buckingham Palace. That is, almost all the children of the royal couple were born not in the hospital but in their luxurious palaces and castles. Only Prince William became the first royal heir born outside the royal palace, at St. Mary's Hospital in London. Fact number 2. There were witnesses at the royal birth. Until recently, in order to prevent the royal family from being accused of foul play, for example, replacing a stillborn child with a live one, a large number of outsiders had to be present at the royal birth. These were midwives, doctors, maids of honor and courtiers in the bedroom with the monarch in labor. Until the birth of Prince Charles, a government official who could verify the authenticity of the process had to be present at the delivery of all the royal heirs. Elizabeth II became the first monarch in history to give birth to a child without the Minister of the Interior being present. She cancelled this tradition while pregnant with Prince Charles, and before her, ministers' presence was mandatory.
Motherhood is the only job that matters. That's what the Queen herself said.
Fact number 3. Using unconventional pain relief techniques. Only once, at the birth of her 3rd child, Prince Andrew, the Queen chose to use the controversial twilight sleep, a pain relief method using morphine.
He was certainly his mother's favourite, said royal biographer Nigel Calthorpe.
Such an injection plunged the woman in labor into a half-sleep state, and she was hardly aware of what was happening and could not always follow the instructions of the midwives. Because of this, the child often had to be pulled out. By the way, this method, at that time, was an alternative to chloroform, which Queen Victoria first used for pain relief in the early 19th century during her last 2 births. The monarch, by the way, has had 9 children. She called chloroform a blessing, and its effect soothing and delightful. She sent bottles of this miraculous remedy as a gift to all her daughters and granddaughters when they were pregnant. At that time, Queen Victoria influenced the change in the system of royal birth throughout Europe as a whole. Fact number 4. First royal limaise. There is a chance that while delivering her 4th child, the youngest son, Prince Edward, Elizabeth II departed from the traditions of that time. This child became the first and only of all the Queen's children, at the birth of which his father was present. Royal biographer Ingrid Seward wrote that the Duke of Edinburgh held his wife's hand when their youngest son was born.
Elizabeth asked Philip about this, as she was seriously carried away by the idea, which was gaining popularity then, the importance of involving fathers in childbirth.
And I think, my mum did find him a great support, and I think she valued his judgment on some things. I have very happy memories. We were lucky to have him for nearly 100 years.
This experience was unique for the royal couple, although it was not the first limaise birth among the British monarchs. Prince Albert was the first spouse present at the birth alongside Queen Victoria. In 1840, their eldest daughter was the first royal child in England, at the delivery of which her father was present. It has since become a tradition of sorts, with Prince Charles staying in the ward with Princess Diana during the birth of their first child, Prince William. William himself was there and supported Kate Middleton when she gave birth to Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and baby Louis. Fact number 5. Special rules for the baptism of royal children. Just imagine, all royal babies, starting from the 19th century, wore the same christening robe in a replica of Victoria's dress. The christening dress of Princess Victoria, Queen Victoria's eldest daughter, has been passed down from generation to generation, thus giving a royal blessing to her descendants. At the beginning of the 21st century, when Elizabeth II considered the piece too fragile to use, its exact copy was made. For it to look authentic, it was placed for a few minutes in a container with cold water and a bag of strong Yorkshire tea. The original christening dress was made from the wedding dress of Queen Victoria herself. In 163 years of use, 62 royal babies have worn it, including Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Charles, and Prince William. Fact number 6. How the news of the heirs born was announced. The herald announces the birth of royal babies, and an announcement is placed inside the palace gates on a gilded wooden easel. In addition, 62 cannon volleys near Tower Bridge and 41 cannon volleys near Buckingham Palace marked the event. Fact number 7. The most famous royal newborn, the most well-known heir to the royal throne, is considered Prince George of Cambridge, the first son of Prince William and Kate Middleton. Even before he was born, the Washington Post called George the most famous baby in the world. Just having been born, little George has already inscribed himself in golden letters in the history of British monarchs. The baby is the third generation of living claimants to the throne after his father and grandfather, Prince Charles. That is only the second time this has happened in the history of the British monarchy.
Here at home, my own family is a little larger this Christmas. As with all who are christened, George was baptized into a joyful faith of Christian duty and service. It was a happy occasion, bringing together 4 generations.
Hence, the answer to the question at the beginning of our video, the place where royal babies were born and the atmosphere created around them from the very first minutes of their life determines their future. Prince William was not only born outside the palace walls, which broke tradition, but he married a girl of non-aristocratic origin. Moreover, to this day, he continues to depart from the royal canon. But we will talk about this next time.
We see our own children and their families embrace the roles, traditions and values that mean so much to us, as these are passed from one generation to the next, sometimes being updated for changing times. I see it in my own family, and it is a source of great happiness.
With each new video, we will dive deeper into various moments in the life of members of the royal family, so don't forget to subscribe.